Do you need to go to college to become a music producer? That's what we're going to discuss in this video. And spoiler alert, you do not, because college is actually one of the biggest scams in our society today, not just for music, but across multiple domains, which we'll get into in this video. And I say this as someone who has been to multiple colleges. And not only are we going to look at why college is a bad idea, but I'm also going to give you some alternatives that are 1,000 times better, can help you learn music production faster and more easily than anyone else, and for a fraction of the cost of college. Hi, I'm Reagan Ram, the owner and founder of Orpheus Audio Academy, and I am an audio engineer, and I currently am a full-time music producer as well. And I also have a audio engineering diploma, so I technically have been to audio school, but I'm gonna cover why that's different a little bit later on in this video. But I just wanna let you know that I am very qualified to speak on this subject. I've been to numerous colleges as well. But let's just back up and look at why college is not a good idea for you if you want to learn music production. Essentially, college is the most expensive and the slowest way to learn music production, which is why I don't recommend it. And don't take my word for it, but check out this awesome video about how college broke the labor market by Polymatter.
The basic problem looks like this. At least 37% of US workers hold a 4-year degree. Yet, only about 32% of jobs require one.
Now, isn't that insane, right? You're kind of raised growing up and taught in a culture that everyone needs to get a college degree or else, right, you're not going to do very well for yourself. You're not going to make a lot of money. You're going to be stuck with a horrible job. And so only about 1/3 of jobs actually require a degree. So 2/3 don't require a degree, which is pretty crazy.
The predictable result is that new college grads can't find the work they studied for. A year after graduating, 52 out of 100 are underemployed, and nearly all will remain that way. Over the next 9 years, just 7 of those 52 will find jobs that make use of their education.
So not even that, even if you do graduate college, basically you're a 50-50 chance of ending up in a job that you didn't need your degree for. That's pretty wild.
Many entry-level positions now call for years of experience, pushing these educated Americans into low-paid service work. More college grads today are employed as cashiers than mechanical engineers. Meanwhile, most jobs, about 52%, are what we would call middle skill, meaning they require some specialized skills or training, but not a bachelor's.
So that's what I would call music production or audio engineering. It would be more of a middle skill job where you do need some training, you do need some skills, but you don't need a 4-year degree.
These are your electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and construction workers, and we don't have nearly enough of them. Even 6-figure, often unionized jobs like crane operator, detective, delivery driver, and court reporter remain unfilled.
I mean, look at that. Those are nice paying jobs that you don't need a degree for. So this whole video is fascinating. I'll have it linked below. Definitely check it out if you want to learn more about how college broke the labor market. But this has satisfied, I think, the needs of this video. Now, if I go into my story, I actually graduated from RAM Prep in 2012, aka homeschooling. I was part homeschooled, part public schooled. I only did public school so that I could participate in sports, as I played on the local high school's football team and basketball team, and I was all conference in football my senior year, which is pretty cool. I went to the same high school, Dublin Kaufman High School, as Brady Quinn. So if you're familiar with college football or anything or sports, you've probably seen him on TV. And by the time I graduated from homeschooling, I had an entire semester of college credit finished, as I took classes at multiple community colleges. I took an online class through Patrick Henry College in Virginia. I was in Ohio, living in Ohio at the time. I even had some online classes where my classmates were all over the globe: Europe, Asia, Africa, even Antarctica. Actually, that last one's a joke. But I say all this to illustrate that I was heavily committed to academics growing up. So I'm not saying this, that college is a scam or a bad idea, as someone who just failed at academics and didn't do a good job and is just kind of lashing out. Now, I even went to the Ohio State University. I got into the honors program at the Fisher College of Business, which is ranked as one of the top business schools in the world. I was majoring in marketing. I was really interested in like writing at the time. I was just starting to get into making music, but I was like writing novels. And from what I learned, if you want to have a career in really any kind of art form, you got to learn business, you got to learn entrepreneurship and marketing. So that's why I was going to Ohio State for that. But I quickly, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be my own boss and have that time and financial freedom. But I quickly learned that I was more so just being groomed for the corporate world and being in a cubicle and always kind of just being a wage slave and a time slave to other people. And I didn't want that. So I ended up dropping out and I moved down to Florida where my family was living. They just moved there themselves. And I just so happened to find a local college nearby, about an hour from where we lived. And it was in Fort Myers, Florida, called Unity Gain Recording Institute. And it was also a commercial recording studio. And so I immediately enrolled for that. It was like a 2-year program. I paid for it all out of pocket. It was around $8,000 in total, which, as you know, is a fraction of the cost of a 4-year degree, which can be, upwards of $100,000, and you're going to get in debt and everything. So I didn't have to go into debt to get this education. And I, graduated with a diploma. Why this was great is because it was a lot more like an apprenticeship than a college. Though it was for college credit and we took tests and everything and had textbooks, all the learning took place in an actual recording studio. Bands came in, and me along with my classmates, and there was only like 3 to 4 other classmates, so it's a really small class size, would record these artists. And we learned our instructor owned the building. He owned the studio and had been recording since the 1970s. So it's a lot more like a mentorship program or an apprenticeship, which I think for many fields is a better way to learn, right? Unless you're gonna be like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or something like that. Maybe you want to go to college for that. But for a lot of jobs, right, like as we talked about in that video, the middle tier kind of jobs, skill mentorship and apprenticeship is a much better way to learn. So if you're not going to go to college, what is the alternative? Well, first of all, be sure to grab my free mixing checklist or mixing cheat sheet in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/mixing checklist. And this will walk you through a proven step-by-step system for how to go about mixing your tracks so that they sound professional from home using your budget equipment. And so this is going to get you a lot of the way there to where you want to be. Because if there's anything in there that doesn't make sense, for example, I walk through when to use EQ, when to use compression. There's even a cheat sheet in there on what settings to use for what instruments. But you can see what skills you need and in what order. And so you can go and learn those skills and apply them and apply the system so that you can then start making professional quality music from home very quickly and easily. So definitely grab that free checklist, number one. And then if you're going to really serious about learning, then the best way to learn, again, as I kind of hinted at, is through mentorship or apprenticeship. I mean, you can also just try learning on your own. I have some friends who have done this. For example, I interviewed an awesome synthwave artist, Dream Kid, and he talks about how he learned mixing from just watching YouTube videos. Aurelie with PLV Music, she was completely self-taught. But that also can be challenging for some people, as it takes a whole lot of discipline and a lot of time and energy to kind of find what's the right content to watch in what order, because just watching YouTube videos, there can be a lot of disjointed information. You don't really have a step-by-step system. So that's where it can be really helpful to get some mentorship. So maybe you can hire a coach. I offer coaching, so if that's something you're interested in, I'll have a link where we can jump on a call and talk about that, or just go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/coaching. Other people out there have coaching programs. I've signed up for other coaching programs, so you can look into those if you're interested in. Or you could do something like you could buy a course. So I offer a full course as well. It's called my Radio Ready Record System, and it takes you everything you know from nothing to creating a pro radio quality song from home using budget equipment and the plugins and gear you already have. So if you are interested in that, you can check that out and buy that. Go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/RRR. Or if you'd rather learn from someone else, there's a bunch of other great courses out there. I've taken courses by mastering.com. They're really good. And I'm not an affiliate either. That is a whole, that's pretty pricey. Their offerings are pretty pricey though, I will say. A whole lot less than college though. So it's still, you save a lot by learning from them or someone similar. Or if you want something that's like going to give you the best bang for your buck, you could sign up for the Lander courses. $5 a month, and you get access to over 200 premium courses. There's also Studio Essentials here, where you can pay a little bit more, and you get a bunch of other stuff too, like samples, over 1,200 samples you can use, $2,000 worth of plugins and everything. I go more into detail into Lander Studio in another video. I'll have that linked below. But if you just want the courses for $5 a month, you get tons and tons of amazing courses. So we'll look at those here. First off, you can just type in like, what do you want to learn? And It'll probably come up with a course for you. So you can do marketing, you can learn like how do you get more streams on Spotify, how do I mix kick and bass. So the Lander AI right in here gives you some suggested courses. So the fundamentals of music mixing course, here it is right here. You can see 37 video lessons, 3 hours, intermediate level. You can see what exactly you're going to learn. So we can look at recommended order. Lesson, you can see the video right here.
Now here we have a basic mixing
And
procedure.
you start learning just like that. Go back to categories, and we can just see all the different courses on here. What type of music production you want to learn about, effects, synthesis, sound design, sampling, instruments and gear. So say you're trying to get your drums to sound good, we can do drum production, and we're just going to see drum production courses, and there's so much here. So, and it's taught by really good, knowledgeable people who know what they're talking about. You got my friend Tom Dupree on here, did an interview with him. He's great. You might want to consider signing up with Lander Courses, and you can actually get 20% off your first year membership when you use my link. Just go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Lander Courses. And this is really going to help you speed up your learning process so you can start creating better quality music faster and even start getting some fans to your music. And so a big thanks to Lander for sponsoring this video as well. Now, don't forget to grab my free mixing cheat sheet in the description below. And if you want more help on how to go about learning music production faster, then click on my video on the screen right now.